Good morning. Let's start with refuge. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I want to say a little bit about refuge since I think there's enough people here who that might not be a familiar term. Or at least taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha isn't something that you do every day like we do here. So what is the Buddha when we're talking about taking refuge? And this is relevant for those of you who are transitioning out of here. So whether you're ending the Ango period or just this past weekend, refuge, home. So taking refuge, finding home in the Buddha is finding home in this mind, the mind of awareness. Some people have talked about touching the mind of spaciousness. Can you feel that now? And taking refuge in the Dharma. Dharma can mean truth, so knowing our own truth. And also honoring the truths that we've touched through this practice. Honoring those truths, those deep truths that we know and cannot explain, but we can live from, live in accord with. And taking refuge in the Sangha, the heart, connection, the heart of love, that sees another human being, really sees another human being, or sees all things, really sees. That unconditional love that's sourcing through us, that we have the ability to touch and live from. I want to share a Zen story. We call them koans. Story is powerful because it touches human experience, the universal human experience as told through somebody else's practice life, somebody else's spiritual life, spiritual journey. And this one is about Zen Master Zhuigang. I like to change the genders of the masters sometimes, so Master Zhuigang is a woman in this koan today. Every day, Master Zhuigang would call out to herself, "Oh, Master!" Hello. And then she would answer herself, "Yes." Then she would ask, "Are you awake? Are you present? Are you aware?" How would you answer that right now? Are you present? Are you awake? Are you here? Really here? And when I ask that, where do you look? How do you know? How do you answer a question like that? I kind of had an image of Janine calling out how she looked, or where she looked. Are you awake? And she says, "Yes, yes, I am." How would you answer that question? How would you answer that question? And then she would say to herself, "Never be deceived by others, any day, any time. Never be deceived by others, any day, any time." And then she would answer herself, "No, I will not." So this is something that we can take with us, this simple question. How many times throughout the day can we ask ourselves this simple question, are you present? Are you awake? Are you aware? And this is, it sounds simple, sounds maybe kind of dumb, but to notice that when we're caught in thought, when we're caught in judgment, when we're reacting, and we become aware, the moment we become aware, we're no longer that self that's identified with the judgment, the negativity, the criticism. That moment of becoming aware, we take a step back. And that step back is the place of freedom. It can be a small step sometimes, right? It's like, oh, I kind of see that I'm not my judgmental thought. But that moment, that step of freedom. The moment we become aware, another way of saying it is, the moment we become aware, there is space. So many of you probably recognize through meditation this weekend, and those of you who have been meditating a long time, that we contain many voices, many selves. Sometimes use that word, selves. So there's one who is critical. There's one who is angry. There's one who is joyful. There's one who is a pleaser. Thousands, millions. And we all do. We all contain these voices, these selves, and maybe are identified with different, some of them are more dominant than others, but yet we contain them all. And they're universal, and yet in our expression, they can take on a personal tone. They can be really involved with our personal lives. So that's where the power of identity comes from. And awareness gives us a space. There is one who is aware. We can get to know that part, familiarize ourselves with that part. And that's what meditation is doing, is familiarizing ourselves with awareness through attention, through taking that step back. So there are 4 aspects of practice that stem from awareness that we can do anytime, anywhere. So I feel like this is a good way to send you forward, or to go forward. To remember, touch in with, well, how can I practice in this situation, in this situation, in this situation? Because we're in a rarefied environment right now, right? Doing 8 hours of meditation yesterday in this container of silence. And this particular arrangement allows us to really focus and hone in and know certain truths and touch certain truths that it might be difficult to see in the busyness of our daily lives. And yet they're always there. So once we know the truth, like I said before, once we know it, it's in us. Soten said it's like our shadow. It's coming with us everywhere. And once we have an access point, we can keep practicing opening that and taking refuge. So today, the 4 aspects of practice form the acronym C.L.A.P. So you can just remember. And the first one is connect. So awareness allows us to connect to the present moment, to present moment experience. And when connected to present moment experience, awareness grows. So when we're attending to the breath, you can do that right now. Find, feel the breath, however you experience it. In that moment that you connect to the breath, body and mind are connected. The mind's aware and it's aware of the breath. Body and mind are one. And so we're connected to the breath, body and mind are one, and then we're awake through the senses. So just notice that you can open your awareness and be aware through the senses. Seeing, smelling, feeling the whole body. And then we can open to space. So open your mind to the space within the body, perhaps even the space within the mind. Is there space between thoughts? And then the space in this room. And space in all directions, above, the body below, deep into the earth, to the left, to the right, front, back, 360 degrees. We can open to space, and then we can also open to the objects, the people in space, opening to our surroundings, all through connection. So we're aware and we're connected. And from here we can really connect with others and the world, whatever our world is in this moment. You know, it's true, and Chosen was talking this morning, that connection is what we most crave. Intimacy is what we most crave. And it's through awareness that we can really come into connection. Second L, the L of C.L.A.P. Listen. Listen and look. So this is, awareness allows us to actually listen to what is going on in our own minds. It also allows us to actually listen to others. But to look at what's actually going on in our own minds, we also call this inquiry. Looking at, noticing, becoming aware of the thoughts that we're putting onto reality. Byron Katie says believing onto reality, believing onto others, believing onto ourselves. There's someone during the retreat who recognized that they were having jealous feelings towards others. And the beautiful aspect of that is they also realized, oh, that's coming from a deep insecurity, feeling of not good enough, lack. Zhuigang says, do not be deceived by others. Who are these others? The voices in our own heads. Could be pretty deceiving, huh? And this aspect of looking and listening, we can catch that. We can catch those deceiving thoughts that we're believing onto reality or onto ourselves that are causing suffering, causing separation, causing turmoil. Who are these others? Also the beliefs and conditionings that we inherit from parents, from culture, from society. The beliefs that we're swimming in that might be unconscious can come to the surface, or we can get hints of them through awareness, through stillness practice. Just one I've been particularly aware of recently is the scarcity mind. Feeling of there's not enough. And I think big in our culture is there's not enough time or stuff or money. And that piggybacks on I'm not enough. Those go together. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not kind enough. You could take spiritual practice. I'm not kind enough. I'm not generous enough. I'm not aware enough. And this process that I'm talking about, this process of looking and listening, is an unveiling. It's seeing the underlying beliefs, thoughts, and emotions that are generated from these underlying beliefs that we often just take as true. We often don't see them and we're operating more on the surface level, but sometimes we get this clear view of something that we're believing. And just in that seeing, it takes away the power. It undoes a coil things can be all like tangled up in this belief, and then we start to see through it, and suddenly, maybe not suddenly, but slowly, it unwinds, or we just can't trust it in the same way. It's exposed. Exposes the whole mechanism. This work is the hard work of spiritual practice. This is not necessarily pleasant. There can be some feeling of release that happens, but also it can feel really grating. This aspect of look, listen is inquiry or vipassana. It's beyond mindfulness and calm. Like the stillness gives us the ability to hold the mind still, to actually see what's going on. But this is the place that transformation can happen. Really fundamental transformation. Because those thoughts no longer have the same kind of pull, the same kind of control over our lives, over our minds, over our hearts, over our relationships. That's pretty amazing. Third part of C.L.A.P is acceptance and appreciation. So awareness allows for radical acceptance. To feel our lives deeply. Isn't that what we crave? To really experience life deeply. To be touched deeply by the beauty of a sunset, a sunrise, a human face, someone's words. And awareness leads to appreciation. Appreciation that's genuine comes from our attention. How many people this weekend, or if you weren't here this weekend, during your practice life, have come to appreciate the breath? Even just a little bit? Or some aspect of present moment experience. And just by paying attention. Even things that we don't like, that we're usually averse to, this is the one that's so interesting. Even things that we're averse to and we're like, oh, I don't want to feel that in my body. If we actually come at it with curiosity and attention, it can be interesting. It can be really, it's not something you can explain to your family. Like, oh yeah, I was feeling this heartache. So intimate. Oh, I so appreciate it. But yeah. I fell in love with a urinal once. It's like one of my first jobs here was cleaning the urinals. So one thing we could take with us through this is when the mind complains or judges something, find 3 things that you appreciate about it. So this morning I woke up and I had a cough. And my mind was like, oh, what can I do to get rid of this as soon as possible? And then my mind started thinking, where did it come from? Well, I was on an airplane and maybe somebody was sick on the airplane. So maybe this is actually a sickness. And then I started to complain, and then I started to feel bad for myself. And thinking about the future, like, oh, maybe I'll be sick all weekend. And then I turned my mind to appreciation. And like all those thoughts were just, they were all superficial thoughts that I was just letting play out. And turning towards appreciation, I actually felt the tenderness in my lungs and in my heart, and this kind of raspy feeling that was a little pleasurable. And I felt connected to my heart, which to live out of that connection is really a place of compassion. So I felt myself actually like connected to others through that experience. Just all turning towards appreciation. So appreciation can widen the view. And it doesn't mean that I won't take medicine, but my response to the sickness, to continue with this example, is coming now from compassion and not from aversion, which maybe I would have taken a lot of medicine or done the things that I thought were good because I was trying to get rid of something. Now I've accepted it and I'm feeling it and I'm like, oh, I'm going to care for you, darling. Fourth part of C.L.A.P is practice. Coming back to practice. Practice, and I also want to add play. So awareness allows us to practice, to respond skillfully to what is arising. So we've talked about a number of the practices that we did during this retreat, but I also want to mention metta, or loving kindness, which I think sometimes we can overlook. A lot of energy can go towards trying to concentrate the mind or find stillness. But loving kindness is what we live from. And I know a lot of people who practice for a long time who are jerks. Don't be one of them. This is about compassion. This is about compassion. The whole foundation of the spiritual life is about compassion. So loving kindness can be practiced through the phrases. So replacing a negative self-talk with loving words, like, may I be at ease. May I be gentle with myself. Or when you notice that you're having a judgmental thought towards somebody else, sending loving kindness. May you be at ease. May you know true peace. May you be free from fear. Usually when someone is being a jerk, they're afraid. So when you feel scared or nervous around somebody you're judging for whatever reason, probably what they need most is loving kindness. And the beautiful thing about loving kindness practice is even if we're practicing for ourselves, which is really important, because we often neglect ourselves. We're generating love. We're touching into unconditional love, actually. And love is love. And so we have more access to love, which means it's naturally going to extend to others. They call loving kindness and compassion and sympathetic joy boundless qualities of the heart. It's because they don't have a bounds, they don't have a location. So if I'm practicing loving kindness for this being, I'm practicing it for all beings. And I just want to mention play because it takes a lot of creativity to weave together a life of practice. We're going against the stream of a lot of things in society, of busyness, of self-obsession, of scarcity mentality. And so it takes creativity, and the more likelihood that you will practice is if you're enjoying it, if you let yourself enjoy it. And it's also, practice is it's like secret. So I could be practicing loving kindness right now and you don't even know. I can be filling my heart or filling my awareness, letting my awareness fill this room and just being in the spacious mind in a meeting, in a board meeting, at the computer. I can be practicing loving kindness as I walk down the sidewalk or in the lunch line or at a restaurant or in a shopping mall. It's just the inclination of the mind, and we have control over that, so we can do that in any situation. Just want to reiterate that please honor the truths that you touched this weekend. Let them imprint you deeply and continue to open from there. Another thing that can happen when we leave is we can doubt the truths that we touch because they're not affirmed in society. So that's why it's important to have spiritual friends, to have connection with community, other people who recognize compassion, who want to live a life of compassion, who recognize mindfulness and want to change, want to transform their hearts. Every day, Zwigon asks herself, are you in? Are you present? And every day she answers herself, yes, yes, I am. So you could take up the practice of talking to yourself. Just asking that simple question, letting it open the space of the mind. I'll close with a poem by another female mystic, La Dead. It's called I, Lala, which is what she referred to herself as. Very sweet nickname for herself. Some run away from home, some escape the hermitage. No orchard bears fruit for the barren mind. Day and night, count the rosary of your breath and stay put wherever you are. Hermit or householder, same difference. If you've dissolved your desires in the river of time, you will see that the sacred is everywhere and is perfect. As you know, so shall you be. Some who have closed their eyes are wide awake. Some who look out at the world are fast asleep. Some who bathe in sacred pools remain dirty. Some are at home in the world, but keep their hands clean. Please, be at home in the world. Be at home in your own mind. Know that refuge. Then you can go anywhere.